Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we re-swinging into the world of one of the most iconic superheroes ever created, the one and only. We all know and love the friendly neighborhood hero. But how much do you really know about his origins and the fascinating journey he has taken over the decades? Get ready, because we're about to uncover some amazing facts you might not have heard before. Let's start at the very beginning. Spider-Man first appeared in August 1962. Not in his own comic, but in the final issue of a canceled anthology series called Amazing Fantasy #15. Think about that for a second. The character who would become a global phenomenon was essentially a last-ditch effort to fill pages. Stan Lee and Steve Ditko, the legendary creators, were trying something new. At the time, teenage characters in comics were almost always sidekicks, like Robin or Bucky. But Stan Lee had a revolutionary idea. What if the teenager was the hero himself? He wanted to create a character that young readers could truly relate to, someone who was an undebillionaire or a god. But a regular kid with regular problems. Peter Parker was an orphan, a science nerd, and socially awkward. He worried about money, girls, and homework, all while trying to figure out his newfound powers. This relatability was the secret sauce. It was a complete game changer for the comic book industry. However, getting Spider-Man published wasn't easy. Stan Lee's publisher, Martin Goodman, initially hated the idea. He argued that people hate spiders, so a spider-themed hero would never sell. He also thought a teenage hero who was on the sidekick was a terrible concept and that the character's personal problems made him too depressing. Luckily, Stan Lee managed to sneak the story into that final issue of Amazing Fantasy. And the rest, as they say, is history. The issue was a massive, unexpected hit, and fans flooded Marvel with letters demanding more. Just a few months later, The Amazing Spider-Man #1 hit the stands. Now, let's talk about the design. The full-face mask is one of the most brilliant parts of Spider-Man's costume, and it was designed for a very specific reason. Steve Ditko and Stan Lee wanted anyone, regardless of their race or background, to be able to imagine themselves under the mask. It's a powerful symbol of inclusivity that has made Spider-Man a hero for everyone, everywhere. This was incredibly forward thinking for the 1960s and is a huge part of why the character has such universal appeal. And what about his powers? We all know about the spider sense, the super strength, and the wall crawling. But did you know that originally, the web shooters weren't a biological part of him? Unlike some later movie versions, the original Peter Parker was a certified genius who invented and built his own web shooters and web fluid. This highlighted his incredible intellect and it meant he wasn't just lucky, he was brilliant. It also added another layer of tension to his stories. If his web shooters broke or he ran out of fluid mid-swing, he was in serious trouble. This little detail made his adventures even more thrilling. Speaking of thrilling adventures, let's talk about his rogues gallery. Spider-Man has arguably one of the best and most famous collections of villains in all of comics, second only to Batman. Characters like the Green Goblin, Dr. Octopus, Venom, and Kraven the Hunter are not just generic bad guys. They're complex, often tragic figures who are deeply connected to Peter Parker's life. Take the Green Goblin, for example. Norman Osborn wasn't just a cackling villain. He was the father of Peter's best friend, Harry. This created an intense personal drama that went far beyond typical superhero fights. The death of Gwen Stacy at the hands of the Green Goblin is one of the most shocking and pivotal moments in comic book history. It marked the end of the Silver Age of comics and ushered in a darker, more mature era of storytelling. It showed that in Spider-Man's world, the stakes were real, and his actions or inactions had permanent, devastating consequences. This brings us to Spider-Man's core theme. With great power comes great responsibility. This famous line, often attributed to Uncle Ben, actually first appeared in a narration box in that very first story in Amazing Fantasy #15. It est the moral compass that guides Peter Parker's entire life. His journey as a hero is born from a moment of selfish inaction, letting the robber who would later kill his uncle get away. The guilt from that moment is what drives him to use his powers for good. He can never just quit, because he knows what can happen when good people do nothing. Over the years, Spider-Man has gone through countless changes and interpretations. We've seen him as a high school student, a college student, a teacher, a scientist. a business owner, and even a member of the Avengers and the Fantastic Four? He's been cloned. He's worn a black alien symbiote suit that would later become Venom, and he's even died and come back to life. It's comics. After all, one of the most interesting storylines was the Superior Spider-Man arc. In this series, a dying Dr. Octopus successfully swaps his mind with Peter Parker's. So, for a while, the person swinging around as Spider-Man was actually Otto Octavius in Peter's body. It was a wild concept that allowed writers to explore what would happen if a villain tried to be a hero, using his own ruthless logic and efficiency. It was controversial, but it was also a fascinating character study that ultimately reaffirmed what makes Peter Parker the one true Spider-Man: his heart and his unwavering sense of responsibility. The legacy of Spider-Man is simply immense. He was the first hero to show that you could save the world and still struggle to pay rent. He made it cool to be smart. He taught generations of readers about responsibility, sacrifice, and never giving up, no matter how tough things get. He broke the mold of the perfect, unflappable superhero and gave us someone who is flawed, human, and incredibly real. From his humble beginnings as a last-minute filler story to becoming a multi-billion-dollar franchise with movies, TV shows, video games, and merchandise, Spider-Man's journey is as amazing as his adventures. He has resonated with people for over 60 years because, under the mask, he's one of us. He's the ultimate underdog who, despite facing overwhelming odds and personal tragedy, always gets back up and keeps fighting for what's right. So next time you see that iconic red and blue suit swinging through the city, remember the incredible story behind the mask. Remember the publisher who said he'd fail? The creators who believed in a new kind of hero, and the powerful idea that anyone, absolutely anyone, can be a hero. What are some of your favorite Spider-Man moments or facts? Let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear what makes the web-slinger special to you. Thanks so much for watching. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more content. We'll see you in the next video.